What if I told you that one of the largest and most creative drug smuggling operations in history hid millions, yes, millions of dollars worth of narcotics inside frozen chickens? It sounds absurd, almost laughable, like something straight out of a dark comedy crime film. But in reality, it was one of the most brilliant and audacious trafficking strategies ever pulled off by organized crime. This is the chilling story of how frozen poultry became a Trojan horse for one of the largest drug shipments the world has ever seen, and how a single suspicious container tipped off authorities, unraveling a network that spanned continents. For decades, drug cartels have relied on some shockingly creative smuggling methods: submarines, hollowed-out furniture, even fake bananas. But by the late 1990s and early 2000s, border authorities were getting sharper. X-rays, drug-sniffing dogs, and advanced chemical sensors were making old tricks harder to pull off. So traffickers needed something new, something ordinary, something no one would suspect. That's when they realized the global frozen poultry trade was a perfect camouflage. First, frozen chicken is big business worth billions of dollars annually. Brazil, for example, is one of the largest poultry exporters in the world, sending thousands of refrigerated containers overseas every single month. That kind of traffic is perfect for smuggling. Reason 1, customs agents can't inspect every container. Reason 2, frozen goods are perishable. If you open them for too long, you risk ruining the cargo, which means officials tend to avoid opening them unless absolutely necessary. Reason 3, cold temperatures mess with drug-sniffing dogs. The cartels knew all of this, and they decided to turn an everyday grocery store item into the ultimate delivery system for high-grade narcotics. The method was disturbingly clever. Here's how it worked. Inside the meat plants, in Brazil and Colombia, certain meat processing plant workers were secretly on the cartel's payroll. Whole frozen chickens were carefully slit open. The internal cavity was stuffed with tightly vacuum-sealed bricks of cocaine. The chickens were stitched or glued shut, sprayed with water to seal the appearance, and quickly refrozen so they looked untouched. The shipment was marked with legitimate export documentation, complete with false weight logs to match the smuggling load. From South America, the containers traveled across the Atlantic to ports in Spain, the Netherlands, and sometimes Africa, before being distributed deeper into Europe. Sometimes, they didn't even use the chickens themselves. They hid drugs between pallets of frozen wings, breasts, or drumsticks. Others placed false metal floors inside refrigerated trucks and layered the drugs underneath. For years, the operation ran without a hitch. Millions of dollars in narcotics flowed smoothly from South America into Europe's black market. Then, 2012 happened. At the busy port of Algeciras, Spain, a customs officer noticed something odd. A frozen chicken shipment from Brazil weighed slightly more than similar containers on record. At first, it didn't seem like a big deal until a quick scan revealed unusual density inside some of the poultry boxes. When agents opened the container, they found the shock of their careers. Inside, hidden within the ice and meat, were dozens of bricks of pure cocaine, each worth tens of thousands of dollars. In total, over $50 million in drugs, in one single shipment. The bust in Spain triggered an international investigation. Spanish authorities teamed up with Interpol, Europol, and law enforcement in Brazil and Colombia. They discovered that the chicken method wasn't an isolated trick. It was part of a sprawling network of smugglers, shipping agents, corrupt port workers, and logistics coordinators. Some containers went through legitimate meat companies, real businesses that were unknowingly being used as fronts. Others were fully cartel-owned operations created solely to move drugs under the guise of legitimate food exports. Authorities dubbed their crackdown Operation Icebreaker fitting, considering they were literally breaking open frozen cargo to find the goods. The operation spanned 4 years. Undercover agents infiltrated distribution networks, ports, and even poultry facilities. Surveillance teams tracked containers from Brazil to Europe, mapping out every single step of the supply chain. By the end, dozens of people were arrested, warehouses full of drugs were seized, and one of the most creative smuggling operations in history was shut down. If you think frozen chicken was weird, wait until you hear what else smugglers have tried: banana boxes, hollowed-out fake bananas filled with cocaine, canned pineapple juice cans with cocaine-laced liquid, cheese wheels, hard cheese with narcotics molded into the center, coffee grounds masking the smell of heroin with roasted coffee. Criminal creativity has no limits when billions of dollars are at stake. The frozen chicken method worked for years for 3 main reasons. 1. Global food trade volume. Ports are overwhelmed. Inspecting every shipment is impossible. 2. Perishability advantage. Authorities are hesitant to open and spoil goods. 3. Temperature masking. Cold storage dulls scent signatures, making it harder for drug dogs to detect contraband. By using legitimate trade routes and authentic-looking documents, the operation was almost indistinguishable from legal business. Behind the headlines, there's a darker side. Each shipment represented not just millions in cartel profit, but also the violence, corruption, and addiction that fuel the global drug trade. Frozen chickens might sound funny as a disguise, but the reality is grim. This was a deadly business with real victims. The chicken cocaine story is more than just a bizarre headline, it's a lesson in how crime adapts. When one method gets shut down, traffickers invent another. When ports tighten security, they find new routes. Law enforcement may have cracked this particular method, but somewhere out there, cartels are already perfecting the next big smuggling trick. So next time you stroll past the frozen poultry aisle, remember, once upon a time it was the centerpiece of one of the coldest, boldest drug trafficking operations in history. Because in the world of smuggling, the truth is often stranger than fiction. Subscribe for more unbelievable true stories. This is Fact Perspective, where the facts speak louder than fiction.